If you're not tracking your daily activities, it's easy to get to the end of the week and wonder where the time went. Tasks slip, priorities get lost, and you're never quite sure if you're making progress on what actually matters. In this video, I'm showing you how to create a daily activity tracker in Google Sheets step by step. By the end, you'll have full visibility on what you're doing each and every day and a system to stay on top of it all. And if you want to skip the build, I've got an optimized pre-built template in the description. It looks just like this. So let me show you how it works and how we can build this out yourself. Now, the first thing I recommend that you do is just to differentiate the background of the sheet to the table that we're going to create. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to go for a light gray. I think it works really well. It's really subtle as well. But you can use any colors at any point that suits your preferences and need. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into B2 and I'm just going to type in daily activity tracker. We want to make it really clear exactly what this is. If we're working on it or if we share this with somebody else, they want to know exactly what they're looking at. So I'm going to type that into B2. I'm going to expand this out. I'm going to make it nice and big. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this with a Control-C. I am on a Windows. If you're on a Mac, the shortcut is a little bit different. I'm going to go over to where it says Sheet 1 and press Control-V. Just keep it really, really clear exactly what we're looking at here. Now we're going to build a table. Now, what I'm about to show you, all of these columns, again, you can adapt these to suit your needs. However, these columns and data points are really important to capture to make sure that your tasks are on track and that you make progress. So the first column is going to be called activity. Now, we will work on formatting as we go on, but I am going to bold this and make it slightly bigger. So it's going to be activity. And then underneath, we're going to have activity name. And I'm just going to drag this down from row B5 through to, we'll go to here for now. So this is what you're going to essentially replace. This is just a placeholder for now. Next, we want a column to basically give us the ability to provide further context. So in this case, it's going to be activity description, and I'm going to hover in between columns C and D and just drag this out. That kind of indicates we're looking for further information here. Now we can use something like text wrapping if we wanted to have it drop down so that each row expands as we type and it expands the cell. But let's just leave it like this for now. It might just be the activity name is more of a title and the description just gives you the ability to add further context as to what each activity is all around. The next column I'm going to suggest is activity category. Now, this is something that is going to depend entirely on how you are using this daily activity tracker. Is it for your personal life? Is it for your work life? Is it both? So that's a question that you need to ask. And you could have something like, you could do a drop down here. So let's just say we are going to set up a drop down. And I'm going to select from D5 through to D20. I'm going to right click and I'm going to select drop down. Now here, what we could do in the options, so this is the range that we are kind of using, the criteria is drop down. And the options we could have, as I've just kind of given, it could be something like home, work, you get the idea, a category that makes sense for you. It could be pertaining to a particular element of a project. So it could be, this is to do with marketing, this is to do with something like, I don't know, finance. That's more obviously departmental, but you get the idea. That's how I would set it up. Or you might not need this category altogether. So what I'm actually going to do is remove the rule. Let's just leave it as a column for now. Now, at any point, if you've kind of set some formatting and you want to apply it to a different cell, select the cell where the formatting applies, then select this paint format icon in the ribbon and then left click, and it will just basically apply that formatting across. So it's really, really useful. And I'll be doing that as this video goes on. Next, we want somewhere to specify the project. So it could be that you have different tasks for different projects, or it could be that you're doing this all on one project. Again, an optional column, but it is useful to include. So I will leave it here for now. The next column I'm going to suggest is going to be time block. So you're going to want to allocate time for different tasks. So as an example, let's set this up as a drop down. So we'll go from F5 through to F20, right click. I'm going to go drop down, and the options could be something as simple as morning and afternoon. If you want to break up your day a bit more granular than that, it could be early morning, mid morning, late morning, early afternoon, mid-afternoon, you get the idea, and you just add these as separate options, and you could even put some color coding in if you wanted to as well. But let's just leave it as this for now. Now I've set up this drop down, we have these two options. And again, you might want to code the morning as like a yellow kind of color, afternoon a green. The color coding is something that you need to decide on what works for you and how you like things to look visually. I'm going to select this paint icon just to show you how we can do that for these two columns that we've just simply created here. The next thing I want to suggest that you add is the ability to specify how long it's going to take. Is it going to be a day? You know, you're going to have an activity for a day, or is this going to expand multiple days, maybe even weeks? So you could put in here 5, that would indicate, say, 5 days. Or it could be, you could put 5, you could even specify it, 5 days. You could even say something like 5 hours. You get the idea. It just gives you the ability to add that further information. Now, I won't add the formatting every time. I'll show you how we can do that in bulk at the end. A due date, and again, this goes hand in hand with the duration. You might just want to have, specify exactly what the date that this activity is due on. Now, one other thing you can do is from F3 to H3, you could kind of merge these, and what we can do, I'll show you what we could do here. We could do something like dates and times, almost like a category, if I can spell correctly, a category of kind of data points. So I'll show you what I mean here. We could dates and times. We could select F3 to H3, and then on the ribbon here, we're looking for merge. So I'll use that. There we go. This one here, and then we could kind of center it. And then we could kind of bold this and make it a bit bigger. We could even put a darker gray on here. And what that does, it just kind of indicates that everything here is relating to dates and times. It just makes it kind of more user-friendly and easier on the eye. So that's one thing you can do there. Let me just bring all this across. It just makes life a little bit easier. Then the next block, if you like, we are going to kind of look at the status. So here, the recommended options, we're going to do a drop down again. And the options for this column are going to be, we're going to do from I5 through to I20. We're going to right click and drop down. And the options I recommend include, they don't have to be the same, but something like this will just help you to stay on track on all of your different activities. So we've got not started, in progress. We have on hold, or it even could be delayed. Again, up to you. We've got overdue. We've got completed. And then we've got something like no longer required. Now, this is a little bit easier to color code. As an example, completed would make sense to be like a blue. In progress, we could have like a green. Not started could be a gray. We could have on hold or delayed. That kind of makes sense to be like this kind of orangey. Overdue, more of a red. And then no longer required, we could do something like a purple. And if I hit done, then you'll see you've got this kind of nice color coding. So that's really good. We've got status. Next, we're going to have effort, because it may be some activities you can get done in, very, very quickly, very easily. Now we'll leave the drop down for now, because I'm going to show you how to do kind of a little trick where we can apply a drop down to multiple columns at once. We can have effort, priority, and we are going to also have impact. Now these are really important and very, very useful. So let's apply this across here. Now, priority would be, is it low priority? So efforts, we've got low effort, medium effort, high effort kind of thing. Priority the same. Is that activity, should it have a low priority? It's not going to have much of an impact, as an example, or medium, high, etc. And impact, if something was to, if there was to be, if you were to complete an activity, what kind of impact will that have on yourself, the organization, or perhaps even the project? So think about it that way. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select J5 through to L20. I'm going to right click and I'm going to click drop down. And in our options here, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, these numbers might not make any sense to you right now, but I'll kind of walk you through this in a second. Hit done. And now these are all the options, okay? And then what we're going to have here is we're going to have score. And what this will essentially be is it's going to be a formula, very simple. We're going to go equals the effort, so equals J5 in here, times by the priority, times by the impact. Now hit enter. We've got 0 at the moment because nothing's been entered. But if I put something in like this, then you'll get a score. Okay. Now, what we can do with this score is we can kind of filter on the scores, or we can sort on the scores and basically work on the highest or most important activities first, because chances are you've got lots of activities in your day. So I've put that in there. Hopefully you can see that formula. I'm going to hover over to the bottom right of the cell, left click and drag all the way down, and that will apply the formula to all of those cells and all those activities. Now, don't worry, I will be explaining this in a second, what the numbers mean. Now we have outcome or deliverable, or in other words, what is the outcome or the deliverable of the task? So if you complete, or of the activity. So if you complete this activity, what might be the output of that activity? So we're going to set that up here. And then the final column, oh, I missed that there. The final column we're going to have is just somewhere for you to add some notes or comments. You might need to add additional information that just doesn't fit in any of the other columns. So let me just expand that out like this. And then I don't know if you saw this earlier, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select all of this. So all of this table, the Google Sheets did prompt me to do this, but from B4 through to O20, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go convert to table. And what that's going to do is apply some nice formatting. It's going to align, some things like that. We could just call this something like tracker. It just makes life a lot easier. And then what we can do from here is we can, that's obviously thrown that off a bit. You can do that like that. It has thrown some stuff off. We're going to need to kind of play around with this here, but put the kind of gray on. But you get the idea. We can convert it as a table, and it just makes things a lot easier to manipulate in Google Sheets. So that's one thing we can do. And then what we could do is we could change this color. I could, where is it? Right click. Where is it? Is it in here? Here we go. Left click on this little drop down here, and then we can change the table header color. So I might go for, you can go for a custom. Let's have a look for like a gray if we wanted to do that, to kind of align with the rest of the formatting. So we could kind of go over here like that, press OK. And then we could change this to black if we wanted, but you get the idea. This is obviously change it to Roboto, or I think that's how you say it. So we might want to kind of align this here like that. Just keep it all in unison. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can always let's just remove the table. I'm pressing Control Z to take me back, basically. And you could apply your own formatting. So you could do something like all borders. You could kind of put a white background on, but you just don't get all the benefits that are available in kind of Google Sheets if you don't convert it to a table. But I just want to kind of show you your options. You don't have to do that. And that's the beauty of kind of working in Google Sheets. So we could do something like this, and then we'd want that to be the same kind of gray color, just to, oh no, what one was it? The darker one? Just to kind of signify that that's kind of a part of this section. So you get the idea there, okay? This is not absolutely perfect. If you want the kind of perfect formatting, you'll kind of get that in this completed option, a template that you can get in the description down below. The other thing I want to walk you through, because this is pretty much it, okay? Other than optimizing the formatting, you can do that in your own time to get to look exactly how you like. I don't want to spend too much time on formatting. The other thing I'd recommend that you do is you add another sheet and you call this key. Now, what this essentially does is it gives you the ability to map out all of your drop downs. So as an example, I'll just set up the key for the, let's set up the key for the numbers, just to show you what they mean and what they refer to. So what I would essentially do here is I would call this key, and I would say something like effort, priority, and impact, and then I'd state the numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And basically what we're doing here is just describing what, I'm going to merge these two, all of them basically mean. So what does 1 mean? Well, 1 could be, you can do this how you like, however you want to work with numbers. 1 could be low, so low effort or low priority or low impact, or it could be high. Depends which way you want to round it to be. But actually, what we're going to do, very low, low, medium, high, very high. So basically, if we were to, let's just put this as a quick table like this, and just put it in kind of a white background just to differentiate it, bold this. What this is essentially saying is if we were to put 1 in effort, this would mean that there's low effort. The priority, if we put that as a 5, It might be low effort, but it's also very high priority. And impact, if you put that as 5, then we're going to get a score of 25. So you see how this how this can work and how this can play out. Now you might want to manipulate some of the formulas. It may be you just want to look at priority and impact rather than effort. It might be that effort's not involved in this calculation, so you just might want to remove that. But you get the idea what I'm trying to do here, trying to help you prioritize your activities. And this is what it's all about. And this key just gives you the ability to understand what the drop downs are. And to be honest with you, I'd probably map out this as well, the status. I'd be putting the status in here as well. So I'd probably be doing something like status. And then we've got, what do we have? Not started, in progress, etc. Just map it all out. The other thing you can do is don't always put it in a kind of separate sheet. You can just kind of include it at the bottom here or to the right. You could do that as well, but it's good to kind of keep a note of. And then if you make some changes, you can also set up the drop downs to kind of leverage the table as well, so you're not typing them in the other kind of functionality. But that is a daily activity tracker. By the end, you have something that is very user friendly, very useful, and will save you a lot of time and ensure that your activities are on track and that you meet your deadlines. So with that said, best of luck. Hope this video was useful. Just template in the description down below. And if this video is very useful, do subscribe to the channel and like as well. With that said, best of luck and I hope you have an excellent day.